Hey, all you cats and kittens. We are talking about ecology today. And so, as we talk about ecology, let's break down the word eco meaning home, and ology, the study of. So, the study of home, we are studying where things live and how they interact with one another within their habitat. So, if we see our picture here, we have a fish living within an anemone. And so the anemone lives in the ocean. That is its habitat. And the clownfish lives within the anemone. But more than just where they live, it's how they interact. What are their jobs? So the anemone, while it provides a home, it also provides protection. But then the fish also does a job for the anemone. And so this is how we interact with the things in our home, or how we study different things that interact within their homes. And so while we're studying ecology, we need to know a little bit of vocab. Biotic factors are factors or parts of an ecosystem that are living, that play a role. So here in our picture, the person plays a role in this ecosystem, and the birds and people and plants, these are all living things that play a role in an ecosystem. And an abiotic factor, A meaning non-living. So abiotic factors are non-living things. So that would be things like the sun. They have a big job in ecosystems. Rain, humidity, carbon dioxide, so the gases that we breathe in or breathe out, are all very important even though they're not alive. And so those are abiotic factors, and they play a role in our homes and how we interact with other organisms. And so how is the ecosystem organized? Well, we're going to start at the organism level. If you remember at the beginning of the year when we were studying cells, we started out with organelles, and organelles work together to make cells, and cells work together towards a common goal, which make tissue. Tissue works together to make organs and organ systems, and then organisms. And so here we're kind of starting with a bigger picture. Organisms and populations and communities, ecosystems, biomes, and the largest of all, biosphere. So let's spend a couple minutes just identifying those. The first is an organism. How do we identify an organism? Well, it is a single living thing. So here, this is a cell. It is a prokaryotic cell, so it doesn't have a nucleus. However, it is still alive, so it is an organism. A tree is a living thing. It's made out of cells. It is an organism. A baby is an organism. It is a living thing. And so if we were to use the term living organism, it's kind of redundant because organism means something that's alive. So if we get a group of the same kinds of living things within an area, we're going to call that a population. So here we have all of the people in New York City is a population. We could say all of the aspen trees in Colorado. That is a population of a different type of tree. And so when you have the same type of organism within a specific area, we call that a population. Now, let's expand our view a little bit. If we take all of the different types of organisms that live in an area, well, then we have a community. So if we look here in this picture, we have a rainforest community. We're no longer just talking about trees, a specific type of tree, but we're saying in the trees and around the trees, we have jaguar populations, and we have boa constrictor populations, and different bird populations, and monkey populations, and other tree populations. All of these live together, they interact, and so we call these communities. Now, if we expand our worldview another step, we're going to start to include not only our biotic factors, which is what we considered in populations, organisms, and communities, but now once we consider abiotic factors, we're going to start talking about ecosystems. So this is the difference between ecosystems and communities is that ecosystems includes non-living factors or abiotic factors. And so if we look at this picture, this is a lovely ecosystem. We can see that there's an example of an organism is a fish. We can see that there is a population of trees, and we can see that there's a community with birds and deer and raccoons and cattails and grass and ferns. All of these different populations make up a community. But now we're going to take into consideration the sun, the water, the carbon dioxide that the trees use for photosynthesis, and the oxygen that the deer is going to use. Those are abiotic factors, which are part of the ecosystem. Also, things like the temperature of the water. That's going to play a role on how the fish live and how healthy they are. Is there enough oxygen in the water? That's going to be a very important abiotic factor for the fish. Let's continue to expand our view to biomes. Biomes are groups of ecosystems that are similar in climates and typical organisms. So when we think biome, we think of spaces on the earth that have similar temperatures and similar amounts of precipitation. So if we think about the desert is going to have low amounts of precipitation, and it's going to have high temperatures. If we think about the rainforest, we're going to have lots of precipitation and warmer temperatures if it's a tropical rainforest. If it's a temperate rainforest, we're going to have seasons. That's what temperate means. So it means that it's going to be changing. And so we live in a temperate area. We have 4 seasons. We live in a temperate deciduous forested area. And so here our biomes are dependent on the temperature, the amount of precipitation, and those determine what types of things, what types of organisms and populations are going to live in that area. And so we have biomes, we have aquatic biomes, so we have marine and lake biomes and river biomes, but then we also have terrestrial biomes like deserts and taigas and grasslands. So what lives in an area is determined by the temperature and the precipitation, and that is what determines our biomes. All right, let's keep moving up in the world to the greatest or to the highest level in our hierarchy is the biosphere. This is all of the ecosystems on the planet. All of the ecosystems on the planet are all of the biomes on the planet. And this is all of life. And if you think about this, I like to think about it, I think this is cool. All of the skin on an apple is where we would put all of life on Earth, because we have all of this middle part, which is rock and iron, and some of it is solid and some of it's liquid, but there's nothing living down there. And if you go to the outside of the apple, we've got some birds really close to the surface, but not too far off. But there's really no life out here. And so life on Earth exists sort of like skin on an apple. And that's all of our biosphere. So bio meaning life, sphere meaning 3D circle. All right, so we are going to talk about the types of things that live in our ecosystems. We have, and this should be a bit of a review, we have autotrophs, and auto meaning self. Autotrophs are organisms that use the energy from the sun to produce their food or to get their energy. And so they're going to do this. Let's talk about photosynthesis. They're going to do this through the process of photosynthesis. And so organisms that are autotrophs, aka also known as primary producers. These are our producers. They produce the energy in the system. They get it from the sun. They trap it in the bonds of glucose, and then we eat that glucose. So here, we're not going to talk about chemosynthesis today. We are going to talk about photosynthesis. So remember that photosynthesis is the process in which organisms convert light energy. Here we go, we have light energy. The plant, the green parts of the plant, where those chloroplasts are, are going to collect that light energy. And remember that energy is going to be stored in the bonds of glucose. And then something like a bunny is going to come over here and eat the leaves off of this plant, and it's going to get the energy. And so that is how energy is transferred from one organism to another. And so heterotrophs, hetero meaning other, is going to be the type of organism that acquires energy by eating another organism. So it would be like the bunny in our last slide. So AKA consumers. And so examples would be things like pigs, humans, mice, you, me, we're all heterotrophs. Even vegetarians are heterotrophs because they eat plants. So here we have a koala that is eating a plant, and the koala is a heterotroph where the plant is the producer. So let's do a quick little review. Would you say that this is an autotroph or a heterotroph? If you said autotroph, then you were right because it is a plant. It is going to capture the light energy from the sun from the process of photosynthesis. And here, what would you say? Would you say autotroph or heterotroph? I hope that you said heterotroph because this is an organism that's going to eat leaves, or it's going to eat grass, or it's going to eat corn. And so therefore it is eating another species, and therefore it is a heterotroph. What about this one? The Venus flytrap. What do you think? I'm going to let you think about that, and I'll let you answer that on the Ed puzzle. Do you think that the Venus flytrap is an autotroph or a heterotroph? All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.